The wind howled across the barren research complex, carrying dust that seemed to whisper stories of humanity's desperate struggle. Aria Rodriguez stood at the massive observation window, her eyes tracing the desolate landscape of New Mexico's experimental zone. The world had changed dramatically in the past 2 decades. Climate disasters had reshaped continents, and humanity's survival now depended on technological innovation more than ever. Aria's fingers traced the holographic display, her latest design rotating slowly. The Horizon prototype wasn't just another spacecraft. It was humanity's lifeline. Unlike traditional designs that relied on massive fuel reserves and conventional propulsion, her creation merged quantum mechanics with adaptive biomimetic engineering. Each component was designed to respond, learn, and reconfigure itself based on environmental challenges. Control systems are at 97.3% optimization, murmured Dr. Nathan Goldman, her research partner. His weathered face reflected years of dedication to pushing technological boundaries. The adaptive neural network is something else entirely. It's like the ship is learning faster than we can program it. Aria nodded, her dark eyes reflecting a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The Horizon represented more than just a technological marvel. It was humanity's testament to survival. Each component told a story of resilience, materials that could self-repair, energy systems that could draw power from the most minimal sources, communication arrays that could potentially bridge impossible distances. The Global Research Consortium had been skeptical. Traditional space agencies viewed her designs as too radical, too unpredictable. But after the Great Migrations, when rising sea levels and extreme weather had forced millions from coastal regions, radical was precisely what humanity needed. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. An incoming transmission from the Deep Space Communications Center flickered to life. The message was unlike anything they'd seen before, a complex series of quantum-encoded signals that seemed to dance between mathematical precision and chaotic randomness. "Nathan, are you seeing this?" Aria's voice carried a mix of professional calm and barely contained excitement. The older scientist leaned closer, his augmented reality glasses processing the incoming data. "It's not random," he whispered. "These patterns, they're too consistent to be natural interference. This looks like a communication protocol." For weeks, they worked tirelessly, decoding fragments of the mysterious transmission. The signal didn't match any known terrestrial or known extraterrestrial communication patterns. It was something entirely different, a linguistic puzzle that seemed to challenge everything they understood about information transmission. As days turned into weeks, the Horizon prototype took shape. Each test pushed the boundaries of what was considered possible. The ship could reconfigure its internal structure, redistribute energy, and even modify its external shell based on environmental conditions. It was less a machine and more a living organism, ready to adapt to the most challenging environments. Aria knew they were on the cusp of something extraordinary. The mysterious signals, the adaptive technology, the desperate need for humanity to expand beyond its rapidly changing home planet. All of these converged into a singular moment of potential. "We're not just building a spacecraft," she told Nathan one evening, as holographic star charts danced around them. "We're creating humanity's next evolutionary step, a vessel that's more than a machine, a partner in our journey to survive." Little did they know that the signals they were decoding were about to change everything. The Horizon was more than a technological breakthrough. It was humanity's response to a challenge they hadn't yet fully comprehended. The universe was listening, and humanity was about to speak in a language never heard before. The quantum communication lab hummed with an electric tension that Dr. Marcus Reyes had never experienced before. Screens flickered with cascading data streams, each line a cryptic message that seemed to pulse with an almost living energy. 3 months had passed since the initial mysterious signals first appeared, and what began as a scientific curiosity had transformed into something far more complex. "It's not just a message," Marcus muttered, his fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. "It's a conversation." "No, more like an invitation." Behind him, Dr. Imani Okoro, the lead quantum communications specialist, studied the intricate patterns. Her dark skin gleamed under the lab's soft lighting, her eyes sharp with concentration. The signal structure is unlike anything in our communication databases. It's adaptive, Marcus. Each time we attempt to decode it, the pattern shifts. The signals had first caught their attention through an anomaly in deep space communications. Initially dismissed as random interference, they soon revealed a complexity that defied conventional understanding. The transmission seemed to respond to their attempts at communication, changing its fundamental structure in real time. Marcus zoomed in on a particularly intricate section of the signal. Mathematical equations seemed to flow like liquid, transforming and reforming with each computational pass. "We're not just receiving a message," he said slowly. "We're engaged in a real-time dialogue with something, or someone, that understands communication on a level we've never encountered." The Nexus Protocol, as they had begun to call it, represented a quantum leap in interstellar communication. Traditional SETI protocols seemed crude by comparison. This was something entirely different, a form of communication that was alive, responsive, and seemingly intelligent. At the Global Space Exploration Headquarters, tensions were rising. Military strategists viewed the signals with a mixture of excitement and deep concern. Was this a potential first contact scenario, or something more threatening? "We need to respond," Imani argued during a high-level briefing. "These signals aren't random. They're deliberately constructed to engage our attention." Colonel Rajesh Mehta, head of strategic operations, leaned forward. His weathered face reflected years of military precision. "Engage how? We don't even know the origin or intent of these transmissions." Marcus stepped forward, displaying a complex holographic representation of the signal structure. "Look at the patterns. They're not just messages, they're adaptive learning protocols. Each time we interact, the signal learns, adjusts, becomes more complex." The room fell silent. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just a potential first contact. It was a form of communication that challenged everything they understood about interstellar interaction. Back in the lab, Marcus and Imani worked tirelessly. They had begun constructing a response using quantum entanglement principles and advanced mathematical models. The goal wasn't just to send a message, but to create a communication framework that could match the adaptive nature of the incoming signals. "We're creating a linguistic bridge," Marcus explained to Imani one late night, "a way to communicate that goes beyond traditional language. Pure information, stripped of cultural or biological limitations." Their work caught the attention of Aria Rodriguez and her Horizon project. The adaptive technologies they were developing suddenly seemed more crucial than ever. If these signals represented a genuine attempt at communication, humanity would need every technological advantage possible. As the final pieces of their quantum communication protocol began to take shape, something unexpected happened. The signals began to coalesce into a more defined pattern. It was almost as if whatever was on the other side was waiting, watching, preparing for a true moment of first contact. "We're ready," Imani whispered, her hand hovering over the transmission trigger. Marcus nodded, a mix of scientific excitement and profound uncertainty dancing in his eyes. "Let's speak to the universe." The quantum transmission pulsed, a bridge of pure information stretching into the vast, unknown depths of space. Humanity was about to have a conversation like no other in its history. The Callista Research Station hung like a crystalline jewel against the dark backdrop of Jupiter's massive shadow. Commander Elena Winters stood at the primary observation deck, her augmented reality interface painting intricate data streams across the station's reinforced windows. Something was changing. The universe was holding its breath. 3 weeks had passed since the quantum communication breakthrough. The signals that Marcus Reyes and Imani Okoro had first decoded had transformed from a scientific curiosity into a potential existential challenge for humanity. "Incoming transmission from Earth Control," announced Diego Ramirez, the station's communication specialist. His fingers danced across holographic interfaces, routing and filtering the massive data stream. "They're sending updated quantum encryption protocols." Elena nodded, her military training evident in every precise movement. The Callisto station wasn't just a research outpost, it was humanity's most advanced deep space listening post. Positioned strategically near Jupiter, it gave them an unprecedented view of potential extrasolar communications. The station's primary mission had evolved. What began as a research facility for studying Jupiter's complex magnetic fields had become humanity's first line of defense and communication in a rapidly changing cosmic landscape. "Run a full spectrum analysis," Elena commanded. "I want every microsecond of these transmissions cross-referenced with our existing database." Diego's interface flickered. Quantum encrypted data began to resolve into complex patterns, mathematical languages that seemed to breathe and shift like living organisms. The signals they had first detected were no longer passive. They were actively probing, learning, adapting. In the station's central research lab, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka reviewed the latest data on the mysterious signals. Specialized quantum computers worked overtime, attempting to unravel the complex communication protocols. "It's not just a message," he muttered to himself. "It's a system, a living, evolving communication network." The implications were profound. These signals suggested an intelligence that understood communication as a dynamic, adaptive process. Traditional concepts of language, fixed, linear, bounded by cultural and biological limitations, seemed almost primitive in comparison. A sudden alarm broke the station's careful rhythm. Diego's voice cut through the ambient station noise. "Commander, we're detecting a massive energy surge in Sector 7. It's unlike anything in our tracking systems." Elena moved swiftly, her augmented interface overlaying tactical information across her field of vision. The energy signature was complex, not a traditional radiation burst, but something more nuanced. It seemed to pulse with an almost organic rhythm. "Correlate with the quantum signal patterns," she ordered. "I want to know if this is related to our mysterious communicators." The station's advanced sensors began mapping the energy surge. It wasn't destructive, more like a massive information transfer, a cosmic whisper that carried volumes of data in its electromagnetic waves. Dr. Tanaka's voice crackled over the communication channel. "The energy signature matches some of the mathematical structures in the quantum signals. It's like a response, or maybe a test." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. They were no longer just passive observers. Humanity had entered a conversation with something vast, something that seemed to be evaluating their technological and communicative capabilities. "Prepare quantum resonance protocols," she commanded. "If they're testing us, we're going to show them exactly what humanity is capable of." The Callisto station hummed with energy. Quantum computers began synthesizing a response. Not just a message, but a complex communication protocol that embodied humanity's adaptability, creativity, and relentless drive to understand. Outside, Jupiter's massive form continued its eternal dance, indifferent to the momentous communication unfolding within the small human outpost. Humanity was about to have a conversation that would redefine its place in the universe. The universe was listening, and humanity was ready to speak. The Horizon spacecraft hung in the vacuum of space, a testament to human engineering and adaptive technology. Kai Thompson sat in the central control hub, his fingers hovering over interfaces that seemed to breathe and pulse with living energy. Everything they had worked for, everything humanity had discovered in the past months, was about to be put to the ultimate test. "Quantum resonance at 98.7%. announced Lena Rodriguez, the ship's primary systems analyst. Her voice was steady, but an undercurrent of excitement ran through her words. "The communication matrices are fully aligned." The mysterious signals they had been decoding had led to this moment. What began as an inexplicable transmission had transformed into a complex dialogue, an invitation to something greater. The Horizon was more than a spacecraft. It was humanity's response to a cosmic challenge. Kai reviewed the mission parameters. They weren't just exploring space. They were establishing first contact on humanity's terms. The ship's adaptive systems had been fine-tuned to respond to the quantum signal's complex, ever-changing nature. Each system could reconfigure itself instantaneously, learning and adapting faster than any previous design. Approaching quantum communication threshold, Lena called out. The ship's exterior began to shimmer, its molecular structure becoming almost translucent. Traditional concepts of solid matter seemed to dissolve around them. The universe responded. What appeared was neither a ship nor a traditional form of communication. It was a cascade of pure information, mathematical structures that danced between wave and particle, between communication and physical reality. The quantum signals they had been studying were just the beginning. This was a true first contact. Kai watched in awe as the ship's interfaces transformed. It wasn't just receiving information, it was engaging in a dialogue that transcended human understanding. Mathematical equations flowed like liquid, transforming the very fabric of space around them. "We're not just receiving," Kai whispered. "We're communicating." The entity, for lack of a better word, seemed to be testing them, probing their technological capabilities, their adaptability, their potential. Humanity had always been defined by its ability to overcome, to adapt, to push beyond known boundaries. Lena's voice cut through the otherworldly experience. Structural integrity at maximum. The ship is learning. It's like we're having a conversation without words. Memories flooded Kai's mind. The years of technological struggle, the environmental challenges that had pushed humanity to the brink, the relentless spirit of innovation that had always defined their species. This moment was the culmination of everything they had fought for. The quantum communication began to resolve into something more comprehensible. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't an invasion. It was an assessment, a test of humanity's potential. We're being evaluated, Kai realized, not as a potential threat, but as a potential partner. The ship's systems began to synchronize with the cosmic communication. Adaptive technologies that had seemed like science fiction mere months ago were now their primary mode of interaction. The horizon was becoming something more than a spacecraft. It was a bridge between humanity and something far beyond their previous understanding. As the communication reached its peak, Kai understood. This wasn't about conquest or conflict. It was about potential, about the capacity to grow, to adapt, to understand. Humanity had always been defined by its ability to reach beyond its current limitations. And now, in the vast silence of space, they were proving that potential to something greater than themselves. The quantum horizon expanded, and humanity stepped forward into the unknown.